If I look back over my life, I, didn't really have any money problems at all until the mid-90s. So all the way through growing up, I was actually very, very proficient at making money. I was always able to ask for the deals and had lots and lots of entrepreneurial spirit. And then in the mid-90s, I got married to a great guy, and he and I went to see a financial advisor because we thought that would be a sensible thing to do. And if I look back now, a grown-up thing to do, like a sensible thing to do, go and see a financial advisor. And basically at the end of that time, with that one meeting, I had gone feeling like I was invincible and able to do anything, to I'm stupid and know nothing about money. And I didn't get that at the time. I really felt left feeling really heavy. And what I noticed over the next decade or so was that I then tended to defer everything to my husband, which was so not me. It wasn't me up until that point. I was very independent and quite sort of control freak of magnitude I was, and still am in some areas. But certainly when it came to the finances, I believed that I was stupid around money. I then looked for evidence regularly. And so then I created this whole string of evidence that became a self-fulfilling, experience. So then, then I start this new relationship with this amazing lady, and we're running our own business. And basically, for years, we just went hand to mouth, just getting enough, just getting by. And I was doing all of this, the stuff on the numbers on the spreadsheet, and trying to do the tax returns and things because, out of the two of us, I was more competent, but still not very competent, if that makes sense. Like out of the two of us, I would do that and Catherine would go and do something else. So anyway, that has all changed. But what had happened was that probably the beginning of this year, we just thought, actually, we need to do a reset. We were living in a property that while the kids were little and needed somewhere to live, it was really great. It was really, really good. It meant that they could stay in their schools and do everything else. But from our point of view, it was way bigger than what we needed or even really desired. And so therefore we weren't really going backward. We'd already maxed out and did the credit card shuffle, of which I was very proficient at, the 0% dance. I mean, I was the queen of that. And so what I found over the last few years was that although we were paying off towards the mortgage, we were, in every other aspect of our life, we were just treading water. And actually, most of the time it wasn't water. It felt more like quicksand. So I just kept on, we'd have a win and then I'd be dragged back. And then I'd have another win and I'd be dragged back. But actually, at the beginning of this year, we just thought, actually, is this the life that we want to carry on living? Is this the dance we want to carry on dancing? And the answer was absolutely not. There was an opportunity to see a few videos and to join a webinar, a live webinar with you, Anne, where we could actually tune in and get some information and go, is this right for us? And Catherine was absolutely convinced. She said to me, we need to do this. And I said, no way. I said, I am at capacity. I do not need another course. I have been a learning and a course junkie for decades, and I love learning. I said, I have got nothing left in me. I just need to go and lie on a sunbed for a month and recharge. She said, but it starts on Tuesday. I said, no, really. So anyway, so we wrote, and I wanted to double check a few things, because of course I was holding the credit card, like, I'm not letting you have this, Catherine, because you're going to friggin' sign up. So, and I wanted to double check, well, could we do it together? And we were both invited to come on the one membership. Absolutely incredible. Blew my mind because it's joint money and we're doing it jointly. So it makes sense to be in the same conversation. And so that was one thing. The second thing was I wanted to make sure that there was some get out of jail free card. So in 30 days, if I didn't love it, If it was just another course, could I, withdraw and take the money back, thank you, into my new pot of gold that I just received that day almost. And so one of the things that Catherine and I committed to each other is like, if we are going to sign up to Financial Freedom University, then let's play full out. Let's get into the arena, roll up our sleeves, and actually learn about this. See if we can change our relationship with money. We could perceive that there could be a different possibility because where we were was exactly where we didn't want to be. So if we could just turn around and go the other direction, and if Financial Freedom University was that, then let's go and try that. But let's go to university. Like, we're going to go and study this. Anyway, so we joined the calls. Just within, we had an onboarding call with the concierge, Natalie, who held our hand and continued to hold our hand and still does. And then, then coming on the following week to a call with you, Anne, where we do the introduction, you give us the overview. So I like to know the plan, but there's also an opportunity then to ask questions. And one of the things that blew me away in every call that we've had with you, Anne, there's an opportunity to ask questions. We just have to be brave enough to ask the question. And sometimes I would be shaking and maybe even feeling physically sick. And it's like, am I doing this? What am I choosing? I'm choosing a different reality. I am not going to be that victim anymore. I'm not going to, have another that was a nice course I did. That Financial Freedom University, yeah, it was quite good. I put a few things in place. I thought, I really want to make a fundamental change to write a new, to do a new direction to my life. I also love that. One thing I really loved was that I could take my portfolio asset allocation on my spreadsheet and share it in this confidential community and get advice on what I'm actually doing. I learnt alongside everybody else, but I felt really empowered because I was brave enough to ask the question. And so every time I got off the call, I'd be like, yay for me, I asked another question, even if I was still shaking at the end. Catherine and I have changed the language and how that we're doing it. We are co-creating this financial future together. We are 100% responsible, both of us. So it's not me, it's not her. So instead of just doing the quarterly VAT return and then getting the annual accounts in when they're, whenever the accountant's hassling me for it, we were ahead of the game. It's just like, well, we've done the VAT return. Why don't we just go and do the accounts? And we just did it together. Now, of course, I was driving that bus because that's the bus I've been driving. But Catherine was alongside saying, well, what can I read out? How can I look at the expenditure for this? Because we're looking and tracking the expenditure for everything. Instead of it being like a burden, like we're doing it together, it was actually a fun adventure. It's like, okay, so what if we move that there and do that there? It suddenly became, well, what if this was the game of life that we're creating? And because we are actually now empowered with some education, knowing that we can always come back to you and ask another question if we get stuck. So we're not being reckless, but we're also not being stopped by analysis paralysis and going, oh, I'm not sure. It's like, well, let's just put our toe in the water. So setting up the index trackers, for instance, of which, everything's now been safely put in the right pockets, which is really nice. But we didn't transfer a lot of money over at first. We transferred £100 just to try it. Let's just do 100 to make sure that the system works, that we're doing it correctly. So we're testing the place, testing the marketplace. And it was really, really good, actually, quite empowering. So we've maxed out our tax-free allocation. We've maxed out our tax-deferred allocation. And now we've put other money into our discretionary pot. So we've allocated all the money. And we're using a platform in the UK, and we're going through tranching the money into the various stocks and shares, index trackers and things. But because quite smartly, I thought, because the money, when it's sitting there in the holding account, doesn't actually earn any interest. What we've done is we've put a lot of money, so the bulk of the money, into either an on-call account or into term deposit accounts, so that we are generating money, and then we can, the on-call money we can actually just obviously put into when we want to transfer it in, but it's still, and it's earning great rates, you know, even now in today's world, it's over 5% a month. So, or a year or whatever it is. But anyway, over 5%. So we're pretty happy with that. It feels like we have got a handle on our financial situation, our financial life. We understand the language. We understand why we've done different amounts into different pockets. We've also got money put aside in the term deposit for our safety net. We've got our emergency fund in the on-call account so that we can draw down on it if we need it. You know, we're only having what's in our current everyday working account just to tick over. You know, it's really, it feels like our money's working for us as best we can, so that we can go off and actually create the life we'd love with our business and everything else. And we're letting that nest egg sit there as we travel the world, you know. So we're no longer, you know, living in London. We've become citizens of the world as we're traveling around. And one of the frameworks that we've got in place, which is another FFU introduction, was to have our spend tracker. And so most nights, but if it's not every day, then it's within 2 days, where everything gets put on the spreadsheet, right down to, you know, the day before yesterday when I spent 50 baht on renting a deck chair on the beach. You know, it doesn't matter what it is, whether it's a tip or whether it's a charge or whatever, every single item of our personal spending gets put on there. That you ran a couple of months ago. And it was so useful. And in fact, again, I raised my hand and asked really embarrassing questions, I thought, because I really had, and I'd never known how to actually work out, well, how many programs do I actually need to sell in order to get this amount of money in my pocket after paying tax and everything else? And to take me from woe to go, I now feel like, okay, I can just sit down and just put the numbers on the table. It's like, so even if I don't sell, you know, 300 programs, at least I know what my target is. I'm not just sort of doing this hopes and dreams marketing. I've not got some airy fairy target. I'm actually going, well, that is the cost of getting the customer and all of that. You know, like I feel really empowered, and I feel ready to launch into our 2024 programs after we finish our wee sabbatical, you know. Just, I feel way more empowered around business, like I could actually be a CFO in my business as well. Finances and the shame. Maybe I still do, maybe I don't know. You know, I'm letting go of that shame cloak every day. It's a choice to put it down and not pick it up. And so it will be more empowering when I'm in my business, because the conversations, I'm willing to be vulnerable with my customers, and I have always been. And you know, especially when we're doing our body compassionate body program, you know, we talk a lot about shame around our body, but shame around our finances is such an impact on so many aspects of your whole life, that actually being able to be empowered around your financial outlook and your situation. It's one of those dirty words, money and finance. And what if we could actually just have these different conversations where everything's welcome and we can celebrate? And that's one of the things actually I love about the Wealth Builders community, is that there's no competition. We're not in competition with anybody else. We're all on our own journey, and we can just celebrate everybody else's wins. So I'm feeling, without a doubt, I've done that 180 turn, and I'm definitely walking a different talk. I'm not picking up that shame stick each day. I am feeling so empowered. I know that my money I'm a good custodian of money. I have, you know, been educated, and I will continue to educate myself. Absolutely. I'm a baby beginner, but I've definitely taken my training wheels off now, and I'm starting to do a bit of freestyling. I know where, you know, I've got my plan. and I've got I'm getting my plan together for my business so that I know then how I want to continue investing and growing that towards my freedom number. So night and day, like everything started to calm down, and I started to get in alignment. And it's like, oh no, I've got this. Oh, that trigger before is no longer triggering me.